What happened in the month of June in Edmonton's real estate market? Well, we're going to talk about that in this video today. Well, it is full on into summer in Edmonton. We are seeing sunny weather and thankfully not too smoky out there. I don't know if you've lived here long, but sometimes in the summer we get a lot of smoke and it's really hard to enjoy our summers. Now, what is happening in our Edmonton real estate market as a whole? If you tune in on Tuesdays live when we come and talk about week to week what's happening in the single family market, you'll have heard me talk about how our market has been shifting, and it is shifting. And if you start to hear the buzz, everyone is talking about the shifted market. What does that mean? So there's three types of markets. There's a seller's market, a buyer's market, and a balanced market. Currently, we were in a seller's market for quite some time, a couple years, which is not typical of Edmonton, and we're starting to shift into balanced. I don't believe we're shifting into buyer's market, but again, it depends on the location, the type of house you're looking for, and the price point you're looking to spend. So in this video, we're going to talk about what's happening in all of Edmonton for all of the types of homes, and these are market stats from the Edmonton Real Estate Board. So currently, if you're looking at how many new listings came on for the month of June, we did go down slightly from the last month by 9.6%, but we have gone up over 18.9% from last year at this time. We've had a total of 15,000 new listings in Edmonton for the year. So we've seen more listings come on. However, you're probably wondering, I haven't seen them. Now, if you've been driving around the streets recently, you'll have noticed more for sale signs up. Things are lasting a bit longer, so they're not coming up and down, or they're not being sold before the sign even goes up. You're starting to see that transition, and it being summer, it will start to tend to slow down. And we'll see what the numbers say, but typically it starts to slow down and it gets slower and slower as the months progress. All the way into February is when it starts to pick up again. So if you take a look at the sales, how many solds happened in the last month of June? So in June, we had 1,974 sold, which is 4.1% lower than the month of May. Now, that's not abnormal because in May, it's typically a busier month for sales. If you take a look at year to date, so what happened all the way from January to June, compared to last year at this time, we've had slightly a bit more sales, but only 2.5%. So if you remember, I just mentioned that the listings were up by 18.9%. So we had more listings come on significantly than the sales. So they did not balance themselves out, and that is why our market is no longer the market we had last year in the seller's market. Last year, the interest rates were higher. This year, the interest rates are lower, but the sales are lower. And there's so many different things that it could be factors. And we're also seeing the migration between different provinces, I believe, is starting to slow down. There are buyers out there that are locally watching and looking and trying to come to terms with how high their prices have come in the last few years. If you take a look at the average price for single family homes in Edmonton, we're looking at $562,000. Now, that month over month isn't changed, and year over year it's a 6.3% increase. So remember that the predictions was it was going to be in the double digits for an increase, and I had predicted we're probably, if we're lucky, going to see 8%. We're already seeing 6%, and we still have the rest of half of this year to go. So it's probably going to, I'm guessing, stay in this range. Last year we were about just over 10%. So the average price has stopped inclining so quickly. Now, what about the semi-detached homes? The average price there is $448,000, a slight increase from the month before at 1.9%, and a 5.2% year over year change from last year at this time. The row townhouses saw a $300,000 average price and actually saw a slight negative by 0.4%. Now, we've seen a lot of increase in this area because this has become more and more affordable for people to own, and you'll still see a healthy increase from last year at 5.2%. Now, when you take a look at apartment condominiums, the average price is $212,000 with a 1.3% increase from the last month of May, and then from last year at this time, a slight 2.2%. So overall in Edmonton, the average price of homes, of all the homes, is about $433,000. But you can see how that number is a bit skewed if you're looking at single family. It's $562. So make sure you're looking at the category you're looking to either buy or sell in to figure that out. Now, don't forget, these are averages of Edmonton. You need to look at the specific communities. Each community is different. Each community has seen slight increases and decreases depending on what it is. Now, those areas close to the river valley, those more infill areas, infill when I say is inside of the Anthony Henday, you'll see those continue to be strong. They're always strong no matter what the market is. You might just not see 20 offers, you might just see 5. Now, we're seeing that even in the 400,000 to 500,000 price range. We used to see so many offers, so many showings, and things are starting to slow down. Things that are priced aggressively in the 500 and up, we are starting to see people not move and on these properties, and they're just going to be sitting there. So to get ahead of the market, when the market is starting to decline, you need to price a little lower than maybe what the property sold for, like the area sold for just even a month ago. If you price at market or higher, you're definitely going to be chasing the market in the coming months if we move from a balanced market to a buyer's market. Now, in total, we have just over 5,000 listings available, and that is 2.5 months of inventory if you take the days on market. The average days on market for this year for all residential is 32 days. So nothing too crazy from last year, because last year was 31 days. If you take a look at the detached homes, it's no change from 29 days, semi-detached at 28 days, and row townhouses saw the biggest jump, which is only 4 days, from 24 last year to 28 this year. So if you take a look at the condominiums, they're exactly the same at 43. So that's why you take how many listings are for sale divided by average days on market. You're gonna get how long it takes to sell everything if we didn't add any more new listings. And 2.5 months is still technically on the seller side, but honestly, it's 3 months is where you're in the balanced, and we're starting to, I believe we're already there, that's the 3 to 4 months. Now, keep in mind, this is all inventory. If we just take a look at single family homes, I guarantee you we are definitely a few more months into selling. It's not gonna be 2.5 months, it's probably 3 months is my guess for single family when you take a look at the homes that we've been showing and listing. Now, what about all those higher end properties? Those properties are still moving, but they're definitely a lot slower. So stay tuned on Tuesdays when we talk about that. I'm gonna start looking into the luxury market, and we'll talk to you next month.